Greetings, everyone. I'm Kim, host of A New Asafo, co-host of Chief Speaks, and a member of the Sadulu House Spiritual Center. And I would like to invite you all to Sadulu House's webinar, The Magic of Essential Oils. This webinar is the second in a series of webinars where I discuss herbs, oils, and alchemy in order to be more effective in your spiritual work. In The Magic of Essential Oils, I'll discuss ways to make your own oils, explain how to use oils to open and activate your pineal gland, show you how to use oils to anoint sacred objects, and much more. So if you're ready to kick your ritual work up a notch, this is one webinar you don't want to miss. For more information and to RSVP, go to anunation.org/anu/events/oils. This is a live webinar that you will be able to access from the comfort of your own home or even your mobile device. The webinar will be packed with valuable information that will empower you to be more efficient and knowledgeable in your personal spiritual work. We will start promptly on October 12th at 7 p.m. and it will last until 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you're registered before the date of the event, and I will see you there.
So Ogun, again, representing the iron. Iron is a fixed material. Okay, iron is something that one can rely on. So Ogun is oftentimes drawn, or you'll see that he has two black dogs with him. Now, of course, we know dogs not only represent loyalty, but depending on the type of dog, they also represent a fierceness. Okay, so Ogun is known as the fiercest, oldest warrior of blood, but he's also one of the most loyal Orisha that you can possibly work with. So when issues of infidelity are prevalent in your life, Ogun is a good energy that you can invoke to kind of bring some balance and set things straight to that. Even in Nigeria, when one goes into a court of law, they swear on a piece of iron. That's how influential that Ogun energy is across the globe, on the other side of the waters, when it comes to the brutal truth of things and loyalty and fidelity. Ogun is the perfect representation. And again, in Nigeria, his color being red, red represents the fullness, active force of virility. Red is also the color of activated Ashe. When Ashe activates, or spiritual power, or chi, it's actually red. So Ogun is one of the fiercest and quickest, most aggressive, expanding forces of the planet. So Ogun is an expansive force. That's why when we refer to Ogun, we say he. You know, it doesn't denote that these Orisha are particularly male and female, but we use the he, she designations in order to understand the nature of the energy. If I were to say she, referring to Oshun, then you know I'm talking about a receptive energy. If I say he, as in Shango or Ogun, I'm talking about an expansive energy. So Ogun is expansiveness. If you're using a charm or a tool, wait 1 second. Okay, we're getting the tech stuff worked out. But if you're using a charm or a tool, like in your shrine, the color you wrap it in is also like a clothing. So, for instance, if you have something in your shrine and you don't want it to absorb the energy of your shrine, right, then you would want to wrap it in white. If you have something in your shrine, you probably figure out where we're going with this, right? And you want it to absorb the energy of your shrine, you would wrap it in black. If you sometimes, and the same thing with colors, the same way you would work your colors for your Orishas, if you have certain things in your shrine that you may bring in, that you want to infuse with a certain energy, or you may even want to subdue with a certain energy, you may wrap it in the color of that energy. So if you're working with, let's say, Ogun, you bring something to your shrine. It may be an article of clothing or something from someone else, or whatever. It could be something, depending on what you do, right? What you can do is use, like, say, a red cloth, and you wrap it up in a red cloth, and that now infuses it with a hot, fiery energy. And obviously, a lot of this has to do with how you're going to mentally envision what you're doing. So it's not just as simple as Okay, it's wrapped in a fiery energy, and that's the end of it. Of course, there is a measure of visualization that has to occur as well, and sometimes we leave that part out, unfortunately. But the visualizations are critical. So when you're dealing with that, when you're dealing with that type of energy, in terms of doing spiritual work, and you're dealing with anything that has the potential to have an aura, right? And then we have to say, well, what has the potential to have an aura? Well, excuse me. Anything has the potential to have an aura that is, how can I say it? That is animated, right? That is animated has the potential for aura. Okay? So just because something is organic or something is inorganic doesn't necessarily separate it from the idea of its own animation. Because anything that has come into the condensed form of life is animated. A brick is animated. A knife is animated, because there are things that are present and alive in our waking environment now. Matter of fact, Sister Kim, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. Okay.
Thank you.
So I think you got a little echo there.
I do.
Okay. All right, I'll let you work that out. And in the meanwhile, we'll still keep building on aura. So I know you're just calling in straight with your phone and away from all of your extra audio equipment that may be causing an issue. So yeah, we'll give you a moment to kind of get that together.
Thanks.
Yeah, let's do this. Try it now.
Okay, let's see. Is that better?
No, that's even worse.
Still pretty bad?
Okay, no, there we go. I think we got you.
That's better? Okay.
Yep, you're all good.
Wow. Technical difficulties, I tell you.
It happens.
It happens. But thank you for filling in for me. I was trying to listen as I was speaking, but I don't know where the connection got lost or where it dropped.
Well, you were just
my
lagging.
Computers.
Yeah, you were just lagging a bit. That's all.
Oh.
So I mean, people, I'm sure that there was still information, but you were just lagging. So yeah, I'll just finish up with that, and I'm gonna let you come back in and do your thing. But yeah, just so everyone, when we're dealing with auras, colors are important, but you're not required to wear white because you are now in the Orisha tradition. So, like I said, that was a question that was asked of me earlier, and now that we're here, we're talking about auras. I think it's a good point or topic to bring up. The clothes that we wear, when we're in certain traditions or we're trying to do certain things. And I'll tell you, when it comes to colors in the aura, the most powerful colors are the colors that trigger a psychological response in you. Those are the most powerful ones to work with. So, for instance, yeah, sure, if you're going into battle, red is an awesome color to wear. One of the things that I said to the sister earlier when we were talking, I said, well, the thing about white, sometimes even when I'm working with students, I will put them in all white if it's a group of us. And one, because white is an automatic charm. It's immediate form of protection. Number one, because where it puts your mind psychologically. But two, it also works as an excellent layer of protection because the truth is when you wear all white, you act better. And you're received better, not just on a spiritual level, but if you find that if you're a person who's wearing white outside, people tend to respond to you differently. They tend to show you a little bit more respect. So it's the same thing spiritually. When you're wearing certain colors to put your mind in a certain place, sometimes the costume and the regalia is very powerful. I mean, you look at Star Trek conventions or you look at even Star Wars conventions. People are able to take on the energy of these characters, which is really high ritual, believe it or not. And they're able to take on the energy of these characters just through costume. So where certain things put you psychologically and affect your energy body, it can be extremely advantageous for the auric body. All right, so I just wanted to share that, and I'm going to let you come in, Sister Kim.
Okay. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
And sorry for interrupting you.
All right.
Again, thank you. Welcome back to a new Asafo. I do see we have some callers on the line. Again, if you have a question, just dial into 347-945-7680, and you can press the number 1 to be heard. Okay? Back to what I was saying, like I said, apologize if I'm repeating myself, but the webinar on oils is going to be on the 12th, which is next Tuesday. So make sure you go to omnination.org/events to RSVP. And you can also check for our monthly webinars there as well. Every month there will be webinars that will be offered to help you go a little bit deeper into some of the concepts the Chief has talked about. So, I'm really grateful for those because it's so much more convenient than spending, hundreds of dollars to travel to workshops. Not that it's not worth it to do that because I enjoy that as well, but you just have to kind of think about, you just have to spend a lot of money. You got to find someone to take care of the kids if you're not bringing them with you. Take off of work if you're working, and and so on. So it can be kind of an inconvenience a little bit, but the webinars are, also really good if you live in remote areas or faraway places, and you're trying to learn more about indigenous spirituality. So, there are only so many books you can read before you get frustrated. I know that was my experience before I found the classes. So make sure you get registered for that webinar. Again, it'll be on Tuesday night. That's next Tuesday, the 12th, of next week. Okay, so I'm going to see if, I'm not sure if I play the clip, if it will be heard. So I'll just go ahead and get started on some information that was shared in the clip that I played earlier. And again, it came from a show where Chief did a breakdown of Ogun. So from that clip, we learned that Ogun is an expansive force. So, when we think of expansive energies, of course, we're talking about male energies or positive energies. And a lot of times people don't really understand just positive and negative energies. And this is really the basis of understanding when it comes to indigenous spirituality. If you can really grasp those two concepts, a lot of the things that you'll hear from that point on will start to make a lot of sense to you, and it'll be a whole lot easier to understand. And a lot of the problems and difficulties that we face in our lives will be a whole lot easier to understand and fix, believe it or not, just by really understanding the concept of positive and negative energies. The clip also told us that Ogun is iron, and some of the qualities or things that we associate with iron are strength and magnetism. So we also know that iron is related to the blood, and so is Ogun. And just for another quick example, I remember when I was a lot younger, I was anemic for a little while, or, iron deficient. And I know, a lot of young girls may have issues with that when they're in their teens. But, now that I've been studying indigenous spirituality, I think I have a deeper understanding of what that meant, not only, health-wise, but metaphysically. So, for example, in Chief's show on, I think it was Oya, he broke down the story of Ogun and Oya. Now, I'm an air sign, so this started to make a lot of sense to me. And in that show, he stated that energies are just, the air energy is just kind of all over the place and not grounded. And so air is mated with iron or Ogun, that Ogun energy, and it anchors that energy. So it gives some direction to that, just kind of wandering everywhere kind of energy. It brings a stability to air. And it's a very loyal and lasting stability. So when I think about it, at that time in my life, I was just kind of all over the place, not sure what direction to take in life. And I had, interest in everything, like they say, jack of all trades, master of none. So, this was around the time where I was about to start college. So I was just kind of, floating from one subject to the next. But, and you also know that when you're anemic, you don't have enough hemoglobin or healthy red blood cells to carry oxygen throughout the body to other organs. So you're tired all the time. And for an air energy to have a lack of oxygen, you can imagine that this is not good. You're going to be very off balance. So when I think of it, the iron or that Ogun provides Oya with the oxygen needed to function, with the oxygen needed, or it puts the Ashe back into that energy so that she could function properly. So that she needed that oxygen put back in her, the air. So Oya needed Ogun in a sense, and this is why they're mated or married, so to speak. So sometimes when we hear these stories of Orishas and things, and we hear that they're married or that they were mated, this is what that means. And then, that's just my interpretation or how I make sense of the story. But like Chief, has told us many times before, these stories and the Odu are about how you interpret them, through your own experiences, not through reading a book or by going through, someone else's interpretation. And that's kind of how we ended up confused about a lot of things, living our lives through someone else's story or through their culture and not our own. Another point that was made in the clip was that activated Ashe is red. Now, this is interesting to me because going back to the whole thing about auras, if you've ever had your aura read before, sometimes you'll see this red color in your aura. And, I've had it done once before, but the explanation of what that red meant was completely different than what, I'm learning from Chi. But this red color is activated Chi or Ashe. And he also mentioned, of course, that Ogun's color is red. I know, often we see it here in the States, it's represented as green, but in Nigeria it's red. So speaking of the aura, we know that the aura is an energy field that is around our body, this electromagnetic field. And you can actually feel the aura by doing different chakra exercises. I remember one in particular. Was what you would do is you would sit cross-legged on the floor, and you can sit upright in a chair and make sure that your spine is straight. You put your hands on your knees, and then you take some deep breaths while your eyes are closed, and make sure that you are relaxed. While you're relaxing, make sure that you keep your spine straight. And I find that when you sit in lotus position, for me, that's the best way to make sure that I keep my spine straight. I don't know, why it's something about that position. But you're relaxing, and you start to feel your root chakra's connection to the ground. You start to feel like a pulling or something. And I think another student used to do these exercises on the earlier shows. I think her name was Tamu, if you remember any of those earlier shows. But you'll start to feel your root chakra kind of going into the ground. So once you've relaxed your spine, you're sitting there with your spine straight, you just kind of focus on this area below your navel. And as you focus on that area, you move up from your navel, up towards your stomach, and on up to your chest. And an easy way to do this is to think about, a color or a ball of light or something moving up from that area to your chest. That may help. So you continue to move that ball of light up through your chest and out to your shoulders, and then on out through your arms and into your hands. Okay, your eyes are still closed. And then you just kind of feel that energy in your hands. And once you feel it in your hands, you slowly start to bring your hands together, kind of like in a praying motion, but don't let them touch. And you'll start feeling this energy between them. It may feel like heat or some type of, like maybe you have some type of object in between your hands, but you don't. And that's that aura, that's that energy field that you're feeling in between your hands. So believe it or not, if you can feel it between your hands, you know that this energy, you're exuding this energy all the time around your entire body, and so is everyone else. So now remember, this is an expansive energy. So just think about, what you're feeling or what you're picking up every time you're around people. You're sharing and exchanging energy with them all the time. And this can be harmful. So, and just, if you just think if you're around negative energies all the time, or if there's a negative energy in your house constantly, and then you get up in the dawning and you leave to go to work surrounded by just all kinds of energies in a confined space. And then, on top of that, you're bombarded by electronics all day, noise from, traffic, the polluted air, and then you grab some bad food for lunch, and you're listening to bad music or, in your car. And then you come back home to that same negative energy. And then you soak up some more low frequency by, sitting down in front of the idiot box or the TV. So, think about what this does to your aura, or what you may pick up spiritually. Now, if this has been like your routine for years and years, and you've and you've never known how to clean or protect your aura, just think about all the energies that you're carrying around, and then think about some of the issues that you may have going on in your life. So I'm gonna pause right here just for a second, and I'm gonna play the clip for you. I think I have it queued up now. So in case you missed it earlier, I'm gonna go ahead and play it now.
Ogun, again, representing the iron. Iron is a fixed material. Okay, iron is something that one can rely on. So Ogun is oftentimes drawn, or you'll see that he has two black dogs with him. Now, of course, we know dogs not only represent loyalty, but depending on the type of dog, they also represent a fierceness. Okay, so Ogun is known as the fiercest, oldest warrior of blood, but he's also one of the most loyal Orisha that you can possibly work with. So when issues of infidelity are prevalent in your life, Ogun is a good energy that you can invoke to kind of bring some balance and set things straight to that. Even in Nigeria, when one goes into a court of law, they swear on a piece of iron. That's how influential that Ogun energy is across the globe, on the other side of the waters, when it comes to the brutal truth of things and loyalty and fidelity. Ogun is the perfect representation. And again, in Nigeria, his color being red, red represents the fullness, active force of virility. Red is also the color of activated Ashe. When Ashe activates or spiritual power or chi, it's actually red. So Ogun is one of the fiercest and quickest, most aggressive, expanding forces of the planet. So Ogun is an expansive force. That's why when we refer to Ogun, we say he. It doesn't denote that these Orisha are particularly male and female, but we use the he, she designations in order to understand the nature of the energy. If I were to say she, referring to Oshun, then I'm talking about a receptive energy. If I say he, as in Shango or Ogun, I'm talking about an expansive energy. So Ogun is expansiveness.
Okay. So that was the clip in case you missed it earlier because of our we had some audio and technical issues. But as you heard in that clip, we spoke about Ashe and the aura and the red activated Ashe being red. So back to speaking about the aura, I was just saying, just through our daily routine, we pick up so much in our auras that we don't even realize what we're carrying around with us. And if you've never had or knew how to clean or protect your aura, just imagine some of the some of the grime that's attached to your aura. And, you know, these are things that we don't think about when we go to the priest or the babalawo or someone and ask for ritual problems. You know, we may have to have several head washings or baths before we can start to work on some of these things. And I'll give you another example of how this works, and you may be able to see it a little bit better. You may be able to see it a little bit better. A couple of years ago, I became like really, really interested in the Tibetan singing bowls and tuning forks for healing, to try to learn how to use these two things for healing. And this is where you would take the bowl or the fork, you know, that's already tuned to a certain note, and you would strike the fork, or you would, you know, sing the bowl on a particular body part to heal it or to just bring it into alignment. Well, one thing I noticed with the tuning forks is that if you take the two forks and you strike just one of them, but you slowly bring them close to each other, the other fork will start to vibrate to the same sound of the first fork. So just bringing them kind of close together. So that's just an example to kind of show you how someone else's aura can affect you. We have to, you know, we got to make sure we're careful about the environments that we're in. So we also have to learn how to strengthen and protect our auras. So, you know, this makes me think of masseuses and Reiki practitioners, you know, when I think about this as well, because what that person is doing is repairing your energy to come into alignment with theirs, which theirs should be balanced. That's why it's important to be picky about who you select to do energy work for you. Or even Chief, you know, when he does head washings and consecrations and initiations, he has to protect his own aura when he comes into contact with someone else's, and because he's, you know, trying to clean up or repair those holes in our auras before he can, you know, start working. And so this is why, you know, that kind of work can be so draining and tiring. So for those of you who are looking to go into that kind of work, make sure you know how to charge and protect your aura first. And just again, I wanted to mention that this is a live show, so you can call in at 347-945-7680. Okay. So still talking about the aura and the energy of Ogun, I remembered something else, you know, that this whole conversation reminds me of. If you know me, I love watching movies. And so it reminds me of this movie called Besuro. And if you have a chance, make sure you check that one out. It's a really, really good movie about the Orishas and how they manifest and how you work with them, or how they work through you and through your environment. But in the movie, the main character was shielded with the energy of Ogun, and his eleke, or his necklace that he received from a healer, was a piece of iron. Iron, of course, being, you know, a very good energy to use for protection. And I just remember, like, an old hoodoo ritual for protection involved, like, sprinkling iron shavings around your house or in front of your doorstep. So that's another little freebie. I don't know if anyone has heard of that, but that's one I remember as a kid. But let's talk about some ways we can clean and protect our auras. And so in indigenous cultures, we have a few ways to do this. So we have like head washings or head cleansing, spiritual baths, and home cleanses. And we can use certain oils when we're doing these cleanses. And we can use oils also to form like a layer of protection on us. And we can use it to anoint objects like elekes. You can use it to dress candles. You know, just a lot of different things you can do with oils for protection and for other things. So when you're using oils, you're taking the essence of that herb or plant and using it. So this is why having a good understanding of that herb is necessary, and why, of course, we're offering webinars, books, and a course on them. So, you know, if we take one of Ogun's ways, such as like alfalfa, we can actually make an infused or an essential oil from the plant, from the alfalfa plant. And if you think about it, alfalfa is good for cleaning and purifying the blood, which again brings us right back to Ogun. So another thing to take away from this is, instead of trying to remember which plants are sacred to different energies, start with the plant. So just, pick a plant and learn, or an herb, and learn all you can learn about it. And then see which Orisha works with it. Or even better, you can come up with your own way of transforming that plant to make it fit whatever Orisha you want. I remember hearing a recent show that Chief did where he was explaining about how he learned about a certain Odu. He didn't, read about it in a book, or, his teacher didn't tell him to go look it up in a book or look it up on the internet. He incorporated that Odu, like, in his everyday movements. And that's kind of what alchemy is. It's the same thing can be done with herbs. So what we're doing is the same thing, Chief did with the Odu. We can take a plant and put it through different processes to learn more about it. So we steam it, or we can cook with it, or we can add it to water, submerge it in water, we can burn it, just all sorts of things to try to learn about these different properties of the plant. And I know, like, for instance, when I was given a certain Odu to learn about it, I wrote it down because, of course, she told me the same thing. Don't look it up on the internet. Don't look it up in a book. But I wrote it down. I wrote it down everywhere, just everywhere. Anytime I was scribbling, I would write it down. Or I'd spend some time meditating with it, with a candle. I turned the name of that particular Odu into like a mantra, and I would just chant it over and over while I was meditating. Another thing I do is I will like draw the Odu and print it out and laminate it and use it to kind of program my water. So I'll put it underneath my clear water container as well, and then of course drink the water. And I sleep with it under my pillow, just all kinds of things. Just I would keep it with me all the time. And so I had my own personal experience with that Odu. I didn't read about it in a book or anything, like that. This was my own knowledge. So, I guess that's another reason why I was drawn to chemistry, because, I would even do these things, even as a child. You take a rock, you put it in water, you're right on the sidewalk with it, you'll try to break it, you'll hit it with a hammer, just all kinds of things. But that's why we need a course or a webinar on herbs, oils, and alchemy to get, that's to get a basic understanding of certain things and then learn to transform those things, like we used to as children. We did it all the time. But after, I guess, being indoctrinated into these miseducation systems and religion, we just kind of forgot how to do this. And, the further we move away from our own nature, we just become more ignorant of that. So, like I said last strong, when we extract the essence of a plant or herb into an oil, we're like tapping into its DNA and, that plant's frequency. And the oil just kind of gives it another way to express itself. And so we're able to do, various things with it, like activate the pineal gland, or anoint and empower different objects, or even use it to shield us from certain energies. So, of course, to learn more about how to do those things, you will need to go to anunation.org/event and register for the webinar. Again, it's going to be next Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be the show for this strong. I do apologize for the technical issues that we had earlier, but thank you so much for joining me this strong. And I see that we still have callers, but no one has their hand up. So, again, before I go, just make sure you get registered and make sure you visit our YouTube page, Enlightenment and Transformation TV, so that you can listen to this broadcast again if you came in late. And be sure to leave questions or comments in the section below the video if you have any. And click the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the shows broadcasting live from YouTube on November 1st. Okay? And I think we have a message from Chief before we go.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, excellent information that you gave to the family today. And I also wanted to add that keep in mind that your auric field is an energy field that works like everything else on this planet. It works in a system of duality. So I know a lot of times when we think about the aura, well, for one, we think about it just being our beauty. And you have to understand that anything that emanates outside of the soul is a tool. So, just like your body can show a measure of beauty and your spirit can show a measure of beauty, your auric field can do that as well. But you also know that your body and your spirit are also tools, no different than the auric field. So with the auric field, you find that the science there is that it can shield you from certain things attempting or desiring to come into you, but it can also serve as a buffer of energy for certain vibrations or energy blasts that you may not be able to totally take the full brunt of. So the auric field works in either direction. Also, a lot of times when you're using spiritual baths, of course, you're working with your aura, or when you're concocting certain oils and you're putting those oils, whether it be you're putting those oils on your skin, or you're putting those oils on your tongue, or you're putting those oils on your pineal, you're still working with different dimensions of your aura. So in that instance, your auric field doesn't always need to be a defensive field. You can use it actually for offensive measures. So you can send your aura field out, and I don't mean that it separates from your body, but I mean that you just send your vibration out that far. It's almost like when someone comes to town that you may not have seen in a long time, you may start thinking about them. And that's because, not just because there may be a telepathic connection, but because they may have a huge auric field where their presence is felt wherever they're at. And when you're doing spiritual work or just moving through the world, that's basically how you want to move. You want to move so that when you're going into an environment, that you're able to subdue the environment at will, if you so choose to. And a lot of times when we come into higher level spirituality, one of the mistakes we make is we get heavy into the fear piece, because now that we know about spirits, we know all the things that can hurt us in our minds, without realizing that we have so many different layers. I mean, we have 12 layers of skin, so we have so many different layers of ourselves that we can do something with, whether that will protect us or whether those things that we can send to do things. So, the oils work that a lot of you are getting ready to learn in the webinar, for those of you who have signed up. And I'm just going to say we're getting ready to go on the archives in like 30 seconds. So, just so you know. But, yeah, that work, is key because for those of you, who have signed up, you want to kind of think about that. I'm just kind of giving you some vision to work with as you go into the webinar. You want to think about, okay, not only am I using these oils to call spirits, not only am I using these oils to anoint sacred objects or to anoint my body for a certain purpose, but I can also use these oils to invigorate a certain aspect of me and to pull that, or to educate a certain aspect of me. Educate means to draw out. So I can draw out the Ogun aspect even just in my aura, without me even having to do anything. My auric field can handle that for me. It creates a force field. So, when you're dealing with male energies like that, you always want to work with the idea of, if I'm attacked, you fight. So now the way that works is the further you send your aura out, or the more deeply you charge your aura, the further off people have to begin their attack. So what you'll find is that people may be doing things against you or speaking against you. You won't even notice it, because you fed and built up your aura to the level that they have to get through so many levels to finally hit something that you fended them off 3-4 layers deep. And that's kind of how you want to move. When you're doing spiritual work, it's not always about, because a lot of times, unfortunately, we think in one layer. We think very one-dimensional. I'm going to put this oil on me. I'm going to take this spiritual bath. And then when people hug me or whatever, they're going to know my spirit. You want to do those spiritual baths, and you want to prepare those oils that you guys are getting ready to learn about in the webinar for the people who are 10 miles away. You see, for the people who are attempting to astral project into your dream world, for the people who are attempting to manipulate your mind through mass media, manipulate your children's minds. I'm a huge advocate of spiritual baths for children. I do that a lot because sometimes with children they don't really have the filters like we have, so we have to build those force fields around them. But you can also create oils for you and your children using different parts of yourself. Whether it be a piece of hair, a fingernail, a toenail, and you can prepare binding baths. This is especially useful for people who have children who are not with them. Physically with them, they've gone away, or people who have split homes, and the children are not with them all the time, and they notice whenever they come back a little crazier because maybe the other parent is into crazy culture. You can create oils and then make baths from those that actually bind not only you and your children together, but bind whatever it is that you charge that bath with. So let's say if it's be aware, be conscious, be safe, and you create the oil and charge it with that purpose, and then infuse your own energy into it, it binds you. I usually advocate that for mothers, because usually mothers are the ones that are concerned the most about what happens when a child is away. So like I said, and here's another thing. A lot of times when people are going through issues where their children have been kidnapped from them, or the children are being influenced by people who are against them unrighteously, I will sometimes prepare certain things where the child becomes a terror to the people who are trying to manipulate the child, to the point that they're just like, you know what, you're going to go back to your other parent, or you're just going to, so you can use, again, the manipulation or the cultivation of the auric field for things like that, not just to send out, not just to receive, but even to bind yourself to your children, to bind yourself to your lover, so forth and so on. So I just wanted to add that little piece in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, after that,
Sure.
Like you said, a lot of times we automatically just go on the defense when we get into information like this. Yeah. So thank you.
For sure.
Well, that's all that I have for this strong. Is and I guess you've wrapped up what you need to wrap up. But again, make sure you all register at anunation.org/event, and I will see you all next Tuesday for the webinar.
Beautiful.
Peace.
I'm Kim, host of Anu Asafo, co-host of Chief Speaks, and a member of the Sadulu House Spiritual Center. And I would like to invite you all to Sadulu House's webinar, The Magic of Essential Oils. This webinar is the second in a series of webinars where I discuss herbs, oils, and alchemy in order to be more effective in your spiritual work. In The Magic of Essential Oils, I'll discuss ways to make your own oils, explain how to use oils to open and activate your pineal gland, show you how to use oils to anoint sacred objects, and much more. So if you're ready to kick your ritual work up a notch, this is one webinar you don't want to miss. For more information and to RSVP, go to anunation.org/anu/event/oils. This is a live webinar that you will be able to access from the comfort of your own home or even your mobile device. The webinar will be packed with valuable information that will empower you to be more efficient and knowledgeable in your personal spiritual work. We will start promptly on October 12th at 7 p.m., and it will last until 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you're registered before the date of the event, and I will see you there.